This is Hendrik Sam.
Misikatai, unanidai, akiwalahi, ninaogopa sitadinai. I want you to lie, ni vile I. I'm trying to find good love, baby. Baby, I'll be the one for you. Baby, maybe I'll be the one for you. I'll be the one for you. I'm trying to be the best version of myself. If you wait for me, I don't need nobody else. I'm trying to find good love, baby, maybe, and I'll be the one for you.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night.
Pawa Radio.
Wagwan Nairobi. Y'all know what it is. We've got 5 mics on the track. We're about to tell you who's taking over.
Y'all feel the heat when we come through Party Nation. Sexy people around me, Party Nation. All of them man, them looking so fly. Sexy girl, them wiggle and wine. On your feet, boogie and grind. MDQ, baby girl, one time.
Hivi si ufanyaga. Si ndio show si upataga. Si kwenye flow uko ndo uwaga. Champemo mpaka tunamwaga. Remember, huku ni matanga. Boss lady, mimi ndo semanga. Na wapanga, muda na wachanga. Mko nje mkisota mkimangamanga. Me, J's on my feet. Inyaga, ride on the beat. Tazama, I'm a hot tip, black bottle on the right.
I see everyone's na my hair, my hair. Afuzwa na ulimwengu, wacha tupatane pataye, mbeleni mtatufahamu. Hatutakoma, hatuchoki, kuwapikia tu matamu. Mazuri twakupa kama kawaida, twazidi kutisha hiskwani ya bala. Y'all feel the heat when we come through Party Nation. Sexy people around me, Party Nation. All of them man, them looking so fly. Sexy girl, them wiggle and wine. On your feet, boogie and grind. let me hear you say.
Shibana, Nico, Gage, sana. Safi, sana. Ati, leo, hakuna kulala. Fena, mayonde. Modoni, drama queen. Blinky, gago, get physical. You know, kama kawaida, it's typical. Who are them? Confidential. Bad man, jump again. Do again. Happy mention. Squad up, congregate. Who are them? Confidential. Bad man, jump again. Do again. Happy mention. Squad up, congregate.
Y'all feel the heat when we come through Party Nation. Squad. Hey. Sexy people around me, Party Nation. Squad. Hey. All of them man, them looking so fly. Sexy girl, them wiggle and wine. On your feet, boogie and grind. Blicky bill, on the beat one time.
Like it's on Billy. I'm really tryna make a milli. Any track I kill it. And the girls they feel it. I really wanna get down low. Weak bit tough, gonna get down low. Squad is back with the heat for sure. Dance floor lit with the beat I know. See the people out here side by side. Vibe is right because we do it right. Getting there, so I will take my time. Never late, cause this is Kenyan time. Yeah. Okay. Now who taking over?
Who's taking over? The East taking over. East taking over. Nairobi taking over. Taking over. Squad taking over.
Just noise for the studio, guys. Let's make that noise for the studio. That you know this part in the recording.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night.
Power Radio.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Friday edition of the Power Morning Drive. My name is Wanyoike, and I am so thrilled to have you tuning in. Yes, this is the Power Morning Drive on Power Radio, where you tune in and power up, and to just give you some of the things that you shall be expecting rather to get on this show this morning. Of course, kama kawaida, we get started out with the traffic updates. Need to know what is going on the roads of Nairobi, and then I will get into a little bit of what the dailies are saying. You can see me already with my stash here, getting ready to cruise through the news, and then give you some little bit of commentary of what has been happening. And boy, a lot has been happening, in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, across the region as well. So we will be getting into that as well. And for those who might not know, 25th of May happens to be Africa Day, and the whole month of May actually is just dedicated as Africa Month. And this is a very important day for Africans. The day of the 25th, which is the Africa Day, was put aside so that we can commemorate the forming of the back then it was called the Organization of Africa Unity, but we've come to know it as the Africa Union. And with every annual celebration, they always have themes, and this year's theme is really focusing on reparatory justice for African people or people of the African descent. So that means people in Africa and also of the diaspora. And so we shall be exploring how can technology facilitate the fast tracking of reparatory justice in Africa and its diaspora as well. So that is definitely a conversation that you do want to be a part of. But if you have any questions regarding that, or you want to comment on where you're watching us from, kindly do let us know. Remember, the hashtag to use is hashtag Power Morning Drive, and we are streaming across all our platforms. That's Power Radio on Instagram, TikTok. We are also on X, and please follow us there as well. And we are also streaming on our website, www.power254.org/Power Radio, and also on our YouTube. Please subscribe subscribe, Power Radio, and yes, subscribe, hit on that notification bell so that whenever we are live, you are the first to catch up with the goodies from this side of the Sahara. All right, let me just take you through some of the Nairobi traffic updates here. And of course, we start with the high and mighty Thika Road kama kawa. Let me zoom in. Ninaona ya kwamba from Survey all the way into town, crazy traffic this morning on Thika Road as well. Same situation also happening along Muranga Road, especially inbound as you go into town. A lot of traffic happening as well. Also, as you go from Kiambu Road, hiyo area yote ya DCI, absolute madness, especially as you go towards the Muthaiga roundabout. Yes, so be aware of that situation as well. Let's move on to Limuru Road. Limuru Road ninaona kumesongamana kidogo tu, but not so much, just a little bit of a snarl up as you go from Village Market into the Karura Forest area, and then it soon clears out after that as well. I can also see that Peponi Road is looking quite busy this morning as you just about to leave Kitsuru Estate into the Westlands area. Traffic starts up with your area ya Zezoro restaurant as well. Let me see what's happening along Lower Kabete Road. Lower Kabete Road kama kawaida, madness starts at Zen Garden and it continues all the way towards Silver Springs Police Station. So just a little bit of yes, there's a little bit of a snarl up also as you spill over towards the Westlands area. Red Hill Link Road, you guys are doing okay this morning. Nothing much to complain about. Let's see what's happening on Wanyoike Way. Wanyoike Way, absolute madness. ABC Place as you go towards the Westlands, kumeshikana bumper to bumper. Same situation also happening along, where is this now? James Gishuru Road. James Gishuru Road pia kumeshikana bumper to bumper. Same situation also happening along Kikambala Road, especially as you go into town as well. Dennis Prit pia kumeshikana kidogo tu sana as just as you go towards the intersection of Cotton Avenue. Yeah, that's what is happening on that front. Let's go to Ngong Road, and Ngong Road is not looking too shabby this morning. There's just a little bit of a snarl up as you go towards the Adams Arcade area all the way into the Kenyatta roundabout, and it soon clears out after that. All right, Valley Road, not too much madness, nothing much to complain about, just slowly but surely moving, so you guys should be out of the woods in no time. All right, let me see what's happening along Langata Road. Langata Road, oh, actually, this is like a miracle. It's not so bumper to, it's not too busy as it usually is. Just as you go from the Uhuru Gardens area, it's just a little bit of a snarl up. Then it inaenda kushikana pale hivyo as you go towards the Airport View Estate area into T-Mall, and then Raila Odinga Road also all clear, painted green, nothing much to complain about. So you guys are looking a-okay. Alrighty, let me see, what is this? Huku ni wapi? Mombasa Road, yes, Mombasa Road. Traffic starts all the way from Capital Center into the Nairobi West Hospital, Bellevue area. Madness, absolute madness. If you can find an alternative route, please help yourself and do that ASAP. Let's see what also is happening along huku ni wapi? Embakasi, just a little bit of a snarl up as you go towards the Cabanas bus station, but soon clears out after that as well. All right, I think that's just about it. Oh, no, we have to talk about Jogoo Road. Yes, kama kawaida, nothing much, not much is different. Jogoo Road kumeshikana, especially as you go towards town as well. So I think that sums just about it, but in case kwenye uko na sijataja, you want us to know in case of any incidents, do let us know. Remember, the hashtag to use is hashtag Power Morning Drive. Let me take a quick breather. I come back and we get into the dailies. My goodness, it's been quite the busy 2 days. Boniface Mwangi has been released, so yay. But a lot of conversation also happening around his release, and of course, what happens now to the rest of the people that were in Tanzania together with him. Farouk Kibet had something to say about the arrest of the activists also in Tanzania. So let me take a quick breather. We come back and we get into that discussion. Keep it Power Radio. Do not move a muscle. We'll be right back.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
The East, Amani Patroni, nice and slowly.
Let me walk with you, talk till you know how you feel. Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Natabasamu kila siku juu yako.
Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy. It is you I think about when I wake up in the morning. You I think about when I'm walking in the day. You I think about when I'm sleeping at night. You niwe mpenzi wangu. You niwe mwangaza wangu. Let me walk with you, talk till you know how you feel. Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Natabasamu kila siku juu yako.
Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Uwe wangu wa milele na milele. Mpenzi na kuwaza kishenzi. Oh, niwe kichwa changu.
Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Natabasamu kila siku juu yako.
Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy. Let me walk with you, talk till you know how you feel. Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Natabasamu kila siku juu yako.
Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Twende, nani wewe wafanya moyo wangu dunde kwa masekunde, ni kama nimefunga dude ama nimepatiwa recording deal ya bure. Ndio sababu nataka uwe wangu wa milele. Your smile, the way you walk, the way you talk, inafanya kila mtu aseme oh my god. Inafanya heaven and earth to come to a stop. Sema kweli my girl, you're too damn hot.
Let me walk with you, talk till you know how you feel. Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Natabasamu kila siku juu yako.
Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy. Let me walk with you, talk till you know how you feel. Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Natabasamu kila siku juu yako.
Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Akia. Ninaoga jamani, ninaoga. Sielewi nini inatendeka, kwa sababu vile wajitolea kunipenda mimi sijazoea. Ninawaza na tena ninapanga vile mimi naweza kutoroka. Hisia zangu ambazo zinapanda zinanifanya kuogopa. Dreamed of a love like this, a man who loved me so perfectly. How can it be now that you're with me? I can't seem to believe that this is for real. unakazana nakataa, wajaribu kusukuma nakataa, nimechenga ukuta kaziba ufa uwezi ingia.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Alrighty, welcome back. That is Sero with Akia, and it's playing right here on Power Radio. This is the Power Morning Drive Show. My name is Wanyoike, and let's just get into the dailies. And it's been quite the eventful week. I'll just start with skimming through the three main newspapers, and then we can zero in and zoom in on some of the top stories here. The Standard newspaper, the top story is KPA billions loot. All right, explosive documents and whistleblower accounts have exposed rampant procurement fraud at the Kenya Ports Authority. Inflated contracts, secret tenders, and blatant breaches of procurement law paint a picture of systemic rot. Despite a government freeze on capital projects, KPA pushed through over 100 billion Kenya shillings in suspect deals, many off book. One road project ballooned to 8.3 billion Kenya shillings, while a 2.7 billion crane tender was awarded behind closed doors. This is a story that continues in depth on page 4 and 5 of the Standard newspaper. The other highlight of this on the cover page of the Standard newspaper is guilty, payback time for Dusit D2 terrorists. Of course, we also the terror attack that happened at Dusit D2 in 2019, and so some two terrorists or the masterminds have started appearing in court, and so it should be an interesting ride to see what comes out of that conversation as well. Then of course the story of Boniface Mwangi, if you do not know, he has been officially released from Tanzania, and so that is a story that actually I really want us to get into, but let me first go on to what is happening on these other papers, and then we'll come back to that. Right, the Business Daily, Ruto linked Insurer cuts SK Masharia's Matatu dominance. This is a story here. Amaco doubles market share in a year. A story that also is highlighted on the cover page of the Business Daily. We also have a story about devolution has been so distorted that an appeal to its positive achievements sounds hollow. Is a story written by Jaindi Kisero on page 9 of the Business Daily. We also have a story about NCBA Bank Q1 net profit rises 3.4% to Kenya shillings 5.4 billion. Oh, that's I think they've been doing a lot of they've been doing so well lately. So yes, you can get that story on page 6 of the Business Daily. We also have a story on Zuku fined for airing film without consent, a story that continues on page 7 of the Business Daily. And lastly, Family Bank eyes the NSE, that's the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Family Bank is weighing new funding options, including an initial public offering, that's the IPO, on the Nairobi Securities Exchange to fuel its growth. Can grab your copy of the Business Daily to get the full scoop of that story as well. And last but not least, the cover stories on the Daily Nation. Mr. Moneybags, it's a story here that is highlighting some of the projects that Ruto and and his government and like whatever is happening in terms of allocation of finances or funds to some of these major projects in the government. We also have a story on dilemma of students' university course revision. Thousands of students who missed out on their preferred degree courses have until Tuesday to revise their choices in the Kenyan Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service portal. It's a story that continues on page 2 of the Daily Nation. And last but not least, win for universal health care medics after MPs pledge 8.8 billion. And you will 8.8 billion shillings. And you will recon that they were on the streets last week. This doctors and nurses demanding for the capitation in their sector because they've not been paid. Others were saying delays were lasting up to 3 months of without pay or delayed payments as well. We also had the issues around their pensions also being delayed to be paid. Then just in a very embarrassing twist of events, the Cabinet Secretary of Health, Mr. Duale, said that we do not have money. He actually goes on record stating that they do not have money to ensure the capitation of the healthcare sector. And, it got me thinking, what do you mean we do not have money yet? The healthcare sector in Kenya is like a cash cow. That's, in my opinion, it is a cash cow. We do spend a lot of money. A lot of money is really pumped into the healthcare system. And so to see that there's going to be 8.8 billion Kenya shillings pumped into the UHC. I think it's a good thing, but I'm not yet convinced that it's going to translate just of yet. So we need to continue agitating as well. So that is definitely a story that we need to keep focusing on. But one thing that I want to talk about really is the Boniface Mwangi situation. Let's see, on page 3 of the Standard newspaper. Now, activist Boniface Mwangi, according to the newspaper, was chained, blindfolded, beaten, and allegedly ordered to praise President Suluhu. And then rights groups have taken issue with government for failing to intervene. So let me just read a couple of things that Boniface Mwangi was recounting during his he did say that there were 4 days of terror. He was forced. He recounted how he's captured, untied his hands and legs before forcibly ejecting him from a vehicle near the Horohoro border. He said he was ordered to jump while singing praises to Tanzanian president. They forced me to, and I quote, "They forced me to chant, 'Thank you, Madam Suluhu.' While beating me, he said in pain at Mombasa's Moi International Airport, which of course he was at yesterday after being dumped in Ukunda from the court. You know, because they had traveled to Tanzania to stand in the solidarity with opposition leader Tundu Lissu. Of course, Martha Karua was part of the people, and of course, activists from Uganda, Agatha, who, by the way, is still at large. Nobody knows where is going on. I don't know what's happening with her. I'm being told that she's been found. So I think this is let me just check real quick what the situation would be happening right now. But yeah, before we even talk about her whereabouts, I just want us to talk about the things that were happening within Boniface Mwangi's state capture, and there are some very embarrassing, I would say, and also some very good takeaways and highlights, at least for me, as an observer. So let's first listen into what Farouk Kibet, who is the PA of President Ruto, had to say about this entire thing.
Na munaona wamepeleka tabia mbaya Tanzania. Sisi tunataka kuheshimu majirani nchi zetu za nje. Nyinyi wa Kenya hapa kutoka South Mugirango, hao watu ambaye wako na bad manners wafungwe wasifungwe? Wamehamia Tanzania kwa sababu wameokopa kushindana na Mheshimiwa William Ruto. Munaona wameenda huko kushindana na Suluhu. Tunawaambia wakuje hapa South Mugirango, wause sera, wasiuse ukabila.
Right. So you've heard, that is Mr. Farouk Kibet there, saying that our activists have gone to take their rogueness to our neighboring country. And the thing of it is, you know, it's really paints a very negative picture about the state of democracy that we are in this moment right now, where we can have, and it's not just a failure of democracy locally, but when people like Boniface Mwangi, who have really fought for this country in one way or the other, they decided that they want to go and stand in solidarity with their comrade activist and also opposition leader, Mr. Tundu Lissu. Then they don't even get to sit in the court hearing. They don't even get to do what it is that they had gone to do there. Then you have torture happening across the border. This, I'm not talking about in Kenyan soil. We are talking about the retrogression of democracy that is being witnessed even internationally. But I'll have to commend Kenyans for one thing. Kenyans have really stood with Boniface Mwangi, and actually he was saying, after he was found, he said that he doesn't think he would be alive if it was not the solidarity of Kenyans and just really kind of making noise. Of course, we did see, led by the wife, Njeri Mwangi, at the Tanzanian embassy, which is just out at the Reinsurance Plaza in Nairobi. A lot of people have been standing in solidarity with the family as well. You know, showing up at the embassy and camping there until they could hear about the whereabouts of Boniface Mwangi, and he had been gone after his phone had also been confiscated for like the past four days as well. And the reason as to why it is quite powerful to see the solidarity and also the power of coming together and vouching and speaking out against injustice rather, is a moment that I don't want us to forget about. It's a moment that I do not want us to move on from, because it shows that when we come together, when we unify our voices, there actually there is something great that comes out of it, right? And then on top of that, I would also want to say that the power of social media, because the noise has also been happening along social media. There's so much, I would say, there has been so much organizing. You know, people have been able to organize themselves across social media, and just kind of we're in this dispensation where we'll have to use each and every platform that is within our that is within our scope and our reach to be able to vouch for justice and to be able to speak out for the things that we need to see or the things that are happening in our society. So it was a very good, I think it was a very good show. But then again, there's also something else. Now, what then does justice look like from this moment? What does justice look like? Because is it justice that he has been released, or is it justice that he has been released alive? Is what happens after this? He came out very injured, and you could see his legs, his feet were very swollen. He was able to also recount the fact that he was beaten like brutally, very, very brutalized the whole entire time. And a lot of things I'm sure that cannot also be spoken on in public domain. So what happens beyond this moment? And it should be really concerning for us if we are looking at multinational injustices, because it's not just Kenya that is in this picture. It's not just Tanzania, it's also Uganda. And as actually, let me just see, I found out that the activists that they had gone to stand with Tundu Lissu together with Agatha Atuhaire has been found alive after days of incommunicado detention in Uganda. Sources confirm that she was dumped at the Uganda-Tanzania border at Mutukula late Thursday night under distressing physical condition and without any formal deportation notice. Atuhaire, who had been missing since her arrest in Dar es Salaam earlier this week, is now in the care of friends and relatives who are helping her return to Kampala. According to close associates, she is suffering from visibly swollen legs, allegedly resulting from torture during her detention. She was beaten particularly on the feet with blunt objects. That's some of the things that we are getting, some of the reports that we are getting. So yes, and Boniface was able to also recount that they were being tortured together. Like it was bad. And I honestly, in 2025, we should not be having conversation about torture. We should not be having conversations about abducting people. We should not be having conversations that kind of take us back to 30 years ago when democracy was still a facade. And I also think that we can say publicly right now that democracy is still a facade, because if we are in this moment right now and we have the Boniface Mwangis of this nation, and we have the Agathas as well of this nation, and even Martha Karua, somebody who is in power, was being detained for just showing up for their friend. So what makes us think that we who do not even have a say, nobody knows us, we do not have the immunity of being associated or adjacent to power? Where does that leave us? And then, of course, there has been a lot of decry of the East African community, because even now we've not had any statement coming from the East African community. And so really, if you want to be about this business of uniting Africa, if you want to be in the business of sort of fronting a united continent, then it should show in the way that we treat our very own. And so that is a very big blow. Musalia Mudavadi, I don't even want to talk about some of the sentiments that he was able to remark, saying that, you're out of line for going to Tanzania and you had no business of going across the border. I mean, a whole foreign affairs minister having sentiments like that instead of siding with your own people, but then again, it is very telling of the kind of situation that we again find ourselves with, and run-ins with the powers that be. And so, yes, it's a good thing that Boniface Mwangi is alive, but the damage that comes after this, the message that it sends across, Farouk Kibet and his sentiments, it really does damage the whole narrative. And so, but then what do? I do not say that we should down our tools. Absolutely not. We have to keep up voicing out our issues. We have to stand in solidarity with those that have decided to put their lives on the line for the sake of fighting for a just society, for fighting for our own rights. And so Boniface Mwangi is a hero, and I hope that we can take this moment in to just reflect about some of these people who've decided to do whatever it takes to fight for a better society for all of us to be able to thrive in. And so I think that should be it for me today. I do not want to get into any other news update. When we come back, we get into our discussion for today. As I had mentioned earlier, today we are going to be looking at technology and the role that it plays in fast-tracking reparatory justice in Africa. Of course, the continent of Africa, as it stands, does not stand alone without the very bleak past of colonialism and colonial exploitation. And so because of that bleak history, then the attempt to kind of move past that becomes reparations and conversations around reparations, whether it be economical, whether it be social reparations. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of people led by, for example, Adele Onyango. I saw her during an Africa-France summit talking to President Macron of France, talking about that France needs to return our art back on the continent. And so it is cultural reparations, it is economical, it is political as well. So we shall be talking about all this with the one and only incredible Lina Kitala from Vambo AI. And to just kind of assess where are we in terms of that conversation. Is it even ever going to atone for the sins of colonialism? Maybe not, maybe. So stick around to find out what we shall be talking about after this short break. We'll see you when I see you.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm here to address you. Mr. Speaker, we don't fear you. To condemn you, we stomped inside.
Condolences to the families and friends of all the Gen Z we lost 2024. Our freedom fighters, our heroes. I'm offended. Little. I'm more than offended, bro. I'm disgusted. Aje sasa. Yeah, skiza. Ini more than just music. Ini chant, ni kas kwa wapuze. Yeah, ini more than just music. Ini chant, ni kas kwa wapuze. Ini more than just music. Ini chant, tunakaa sawa puzi. Leo anatuona tuliwavotia tu juzi. Saini ya aibu gani? Na mkipiga magoti nyuomba Mungu mgani? Na under your watch mmeua watu wangapi? Kennedy Onyango 12 years Rongai. Denzel Omondi mlimchukulia uhai. Hapa ni wapi? Maumbo walai. Austin Makoha, Christian Gitonga, Joshua Umbati na Wilson Sitati. Bado tunawapenda, kuna siku watu wa hati. Waresh wetu, heroines wetu, Caroline Shiramba na Valentine Jerry. Hatuja surrender, bado mapambano daily. Mbiti Scott, Clinton Mavali. Usiku kucha tuko macho hatulali. Kelvin Madanga, Emmanuel Tata, Lemayen Kasaine, Matthew Njoroge, Kelvin Mawasi na Kennedy Njeru. Tawakumbuka diaspora mpaka Ujeru. Eric Kiratu, Ibrahim Wanjiru, Kennedy Maina na Erickson Kialo, Eric Kayoni na David Chege, Beasley Kogi, Mike Hunga. Chenye mlifanya mikono tunawaunga. Fegi tuliwasha hadi filter wanakula. Tiaga swali tupa kama shisha tulivuta. Rex Masai muweke picha kwa manguo. Mfundishe history makampo mpaka na machuo. How kids, women and many I haven't mentioned were killed in 2024 fighting for the nation. Yeah, ini more than just music. Ini chant, ni kas kwa wapuze. Yeah, ini more than just music. Ini chant, ni kas kwa wapuze.
Tumetoka kusikia hiyo story ya mlima. Mara mumeshika na murembe mzima. Wasomi viongozi wamegeuka wakabila. Inchi yetu literally wametupa ndani ya pipa. Opposition walidandia vipi? A movement ya vijana wakajigawia viti. Wananchi ndo walishikwa wakalala ndani ya jela. Wengine wakapigwa marisasi wakagenya. Damn, president bila emotions. Na kila Sunday namuona kwa devotions. Na huyo Mungu ndo atakupiga viboko. wazazi wetu wakikulia mikopo, wajui state overalls wanatumia machopa, 1 million wanabaia maboxa. Imagine budget paka ofisi ya Dokas, ndo mtueleze hiyo ndiyo kuokoka. Mnataka kuza airport kwa Dan bana, na hiyo deal tunaielewa kwa undani sana, na hiyo kitu umepea hiyo ni hatari sana, na umekimya tukiwao hapana bana. Wengi ni taxi mewa cost makaria, wana biashara wakaenda loss wakalia. Nyi mnadhani tunafaa kuimport kadamia ndani ya cage kimawazo kama Duale na ngamia.
Ini more than just music, ini chant, ni gas kwa wapuze. Yeah, ini more than just music, ini chant, ni gas kwa wapuze.
Kwani we ni leader wa nani? Nyumbani kwako we hautujali. Badala ya ajira nyumbani, mayouth wanatumwa kwa inchi za mbali. Tunahitaji manpower home, tubadilishe kila mitaa hapa home. Hata mimi nadai better education, proper medication, walimu na pension. Mavipi jenzi, hii ni times unajua, ikituuma ni lazima tuiseme. Na hakuna kubonga mo, mana inchi wameka mkuu wa chuja. Jenzi, injo times unajua, ikituuma ni lazima tuiseme. Na hakuna kubonga mo, wana inchi wameka mkuu wa chuja.
Pretense iko so open, crocodile tears inahitaji intervention ya kitunguu. Vitu kikwa life shishapoteza meaning, pombe inatumika kutoa lock, jumulishapoteza kifunguu. I'm offended. Youth uko depressed, una kazi na serikali inapea kazi wenye wanafaa wawe retirement. So mbona una tense na hata mood ya worry? Hakuna hata pesa ya kulipo peanuts. Sikuizi kila mtu anauza njugu. Si wenzetu wakati wa kura ndio nakumbuka kutuita mandugu. Serikali ingekuwa inajali what we say, Parliament ingekuwa na headphones na sio speaker. Mchana wanalala bunge na usiku wanataka night allowance. Hatred ni more, love ni rare. Wakristo ndo wako na chuki sana. Ironically, some of their favorite verses iko in the book of Romans. Truth iko na arrogance. RIP our fallen comrades. Huku Kenya of life's importance. Let's teach our girls. Squeezy wengine wanatumia miadarati ndio wawe women of substance. I'm offended. We have a long way to go as a country na sio distance. Wafungwa bado wanaibia watu wakiwa kwa jela, propaganda ndo ina sell. Hapo State House wasikudanganye na deeds, hawataki kwenda heaven, wanaogopa kwenda hell. Wasikudanganye na words, body language can tell. Misplaced priorities. Hakuna maji kwa mifereji na maesa ya kura, wako busy kutap talent. Waliahidi stadium lakini kwa grounds vitu ni different. Nakuru, Kihika, Naiba na Samburu. Avieta governor ako loyal to Adani. Money trees wako majani. Promises ni mingi lakini manifesto zao ni kama katiba. Zote zinasema vitu zenye hakuna. I'm offended.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
All right, welcome back. That is Offended by a couple of artists there. And it's playing right here on Power Radio. This is the Power Morning Drive Show. My name is Wanyoike, and you can get in touch with us on our social media handles. We are at Power Radio if you want to tell us where you're tuning in from, if you have any questions. And as promised, it's time for us to get into our conversation this morning. I am joined by the community and partnerships lead at Vambo AI, Miss Lina Kitala, who is not a new face if you've been with us. You know, the day ones know. But it is so good to see you. It's so good to have you with us this morning. How are you? How are you feeling? Yeah. Welcome. Yes.
One whole year.
One whole year. One whole year.
Give me flowers and chocolates.
We will do better.
They need to do their own reparation.
We will reparate you. We will do better. We promise to do better. We promise to do better as we go on. Yeah. Yes. And so, you know, I'm very excited to have this conversation. But even before we get into that conversation and just kind of what we're talking about, briefly introduce yourself and the work that you do at Vambo AI.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As introduced by Anne, my name is Lina Kitala.
Yeah.
I do CPC for Vambo AI. CPC stands for Communication, Partnerships and Community. Basically running the heart, almost, of who Vambo AI is, communicating what we do, finding people to work together and building community around it. So Vambo AI is a multilingual platform that centers on building language models that have the ability to understand African languages, but we also have global languages that are spoken, but our heart beats for Africa.
Yes. Africa. Yes, and really, I think that even sets a very good precedent for us to talk about, the conversation around reparatory justice. So Africa Day is on the 25th of May, and it is an annually celebrated day within the continent of Africa and, of course, within the African diasporas. What does that day mean to you as Lina and as an African?
So I think for me, the day means two things. It means that there's a place for always commemorating, always remembering.
Yeah.
And it also means responsibility. Because with everything that you commemorate, there is something that happened or has led to the commemoration that requires requires remembrance and requires action. So that action beat of the commemoration means I, as Lina, need to take a particular responsibility. So in the instance of Africa Day, it's there based on the unification of Africa and Africans deciding we need a body that can express what we are and whose we are and the mindset we have. So ideally, with every theme that is being recognized every Africa Month and every Africa Day, it's a pointer to what each and every one of us as Africans should be championing, actioning, or thinking about constantly within that year.
Right. Okay. So this year's theme is really looking at how can we start talking about reparatory justice for Africa, and of course against the backdrop of the exploitation that came from the colonialism that happened to the continent of Africa. So to start us off, how do you define reparatory justice?
To the simplest terms are just think about repair. The word reparatory and repair come from the same Latin word. So basically, reparatory justice is a system or a form of justice that has been created to repair that which was done to a people, a region, a country that caused harm. So to repair the injustice, reparatory justice then sets in as a way of coming to create a bridge and also like coming to meet the how would I put it? Not to create balance, but basically to create ownership of what were of the injustices that had been created.
And could you shed a light on the injustices that reparatory justice is trying to sort of atone for?
Mostly it's pegged on colonialism and slavery. Those are the two major areas that reparatory justice focuses on, with what was with the transatlantic trade, with slavery, even within from outside within Africa and outside Africa, from the Caribbean even to the Americas itself. Also colonialism, that majorly is also part of reparatory justice. And it was also part of the World War. If you follow through history, you'll find that every country that partook in the World War, the countries that were defeated were meant to experience, the countries that were participated in the war were meant to experience reparatory justice. That will continue in the conversation, but it was also seen in the World Wars.
It's now that we are here, then so whose responsibility is it to kind of spark that conversation and also be held accountable to ensure that reparations are happening? Yeah.
I think ideally, when you look at reparatory justice, for me, I was actually asking myself, justice in itself is a place where liberty and freedoms should be experienced. So ideally, for there to be repairs, it means there were freedoms and liberties that were stifled for a particular people.
Yeah.
So in line with the question, then who takes responsibility? Ideally, the person who caused the harm. The offender is the one who should take the responsibility to meet the injustice that was experienced to the people, persons, or nation. But if you read through history, it's interesting that when you look at slavery, and the entire slave movement, and the people who are paid reparations are the ones who are enslaving the slaves.
Yes,
Which doesn't
make sense. Yeah.
And then also in the World Wars, as I mentioned, it's the nations that were defeated that were paying the nations that won.
It doesn't make sense.
And if you look at it, the nations that were defeated didn't even have the economic muscle or the muscle itself to pay the allied nations.
Yeah.
So when I look at it even now, I'm almost feeling like we have been going through the same process. It's been 30 years of the African Union from OAU to now demanding for reparations for Africans.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like this conversation is a persona non grata to them that were the offenders. And it's almost like it's Africans paying the offenders. Like there's so much going out from us to them that offended us vis-a-vis what is coming in.
Yes.
Then that begs the question, then will we ever experience the reparatory justice as it should be?
As it should be. Yeah. Well, I guess that kind of complicates, even our, I guess, partnerships, bilateral partnerships, but we will talk about that much, much later. But when I think about reparations, I always think about, this does not necessarily atone for the moral failures that colonialism put us in the way of. But then again, you look at it and you're like, okay, there could be progress that would be made in this sense. So how then do we still keeping this in mind? How do we approach reparations, knowing that the goal is not to undo the works, because that wouldn't be the right thing,
I'm looking at it from this angle.
Yeah.
You see, even when you get a natural wound, you get treatment, and once you get treatment, there is a scab, and then there is a scar.
Yeah.
The scars of colonialism or the injustice that we've gone through will never leave us.
Yes.
Unfortunately. They're there. And when we say atone, we are not speaking from the sense that what reparatory justice comes to do will come and create a clean slate for everything that Africa and every other area that has gone through the similar injustices like slavery and colonialism went through. But what it does is it creates a I see you moment. And by me saying I see you moment, it basically means that you take ownership. Like I see you and I see the scars that this situation created. And I may not atone for everything. Like I may not start a clean slate. I may not come and, pretend that the scar was not created. But I can showcase that I I see, I identify, and I take responsibility to the best of my capacity to ensure that there is no more, I'll say bad blood, but also there is no more residue of the ickness and heaviness as maybe if I just ignore and pretend like nothing happened.
Like nothing happened.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So so that's one part of it. I am aware that reparations happen in different forms. Do you want to talk about the different forms that we should be looking at?
So it can happen by there being a restoration, let's say, of if there are cultural or artifacts that were within the African continent and they're outside Africa, depending on who colonized where, if they can be returned back home to the to their native land, then that's a form of reparation. It can happen by, in colonial times, white settlement was a big thing, and whites were given the best portions of land in the different African countries, and the native people were basically, thrown to the side and given whatever crumbs remained. If those lands can be given back to the native people, that's also another form of reparations. It can also look like the monetary, like there being an economic or money refund. And it can also look in form of like almost like an exchange thing, where whether it's in form of technology or in form of equipping, then to bridge the gap of whatever blanks were left while colonialism or slavery was being experienced, it can also take that form. So reparatory justice doesn't just take one element of the payments, but it can also look like these other forms of justice.
These other forms of justice, now let's talk about African agency, and why it's important for, in as much as and I think actually it's African countries that are initiating this conversation, but then again, there is a crack with the system of not having Africans actually having the agency to be like, this is what we are, this is in our negotiation, this is what we want. So could you tell us about how do we still keep the African agency while negotiating for reparations, and what are some of the African countries that have already started doing this kind of work around reparatory justice and mending what was lost during the colonial and slavery periods?
I think one of the things we need to realize is Africa is not only the only continent that's crying for reparatory justice. Even the Caribbean is another section and area that's like, we need justice. Because most slaves that were taken from the African continent into, let's say, the Americas, most of them, and France and Portugal, most of them found their way to the Caribbean islands. And they also have a story itself. I was sharing with someone how I was so heartbroken when I realized the kind of plight that the Haitians have had, like the Haiti people. When you realize that they actually had to pay France for them being freed to become a nation as Haiti. And it was in millions. And I was asking myself, how do people who had been enslaved for such a long time even have the financial muscle to
pay for their autonomy and sovereignty?
And yet you are the ones who had enslaved them. So it's not just an African thing. I'm sharing the story of Haiti to showcase that all of us, in like people in different spaces and different continents who have experienced slavery or colonialism also have the same heaviness as Africans. The conversation is being run by the African Union. So every member state country that's within the African Union is championing this agenda. And it's been there for 30 years. It's been a conversation for 30 years. So now the question then is it that we are not doing it the right way? Is it that we start it and then we give up? Or is it that our cry is falling on deaf ears?
Yeah. So now, so can Africa start negotiating as an equal partner? And actually, when I say equal, I'm just being diplomatic because we know we are not an equal partner. We are supposed to be the ones above in terms of like the power play, because we know resources of we've developed the West. So they are the ones who come to us. We should not even be an equal partner. We should be the bigger partner in this discussion, in this negotiating table. What does it take for us to move from this point that we are in to that idyllic kind of situation?
As I was thinking about this question, I was asking myself. So as I said, is it that we've been doing it and we haven't done it the right way? We've been doing it and we get tired, or we do it but it falls on deaf ears. So then I started asking myself, what if it never comes? What if the reparatory justice that we are waiting for
never comes?
Or if it comes, it never comes the way we ideally would want to experience it and receive it.
Then now what?
Yeah.
Now what? What do we do if it never happens?
Or if it happens but doesn't take the shape and format that we want it to happen. Because someone mentioned Portugal is one of the biggest countries that benefited from African slavery.
Yes. Well, yes.
And someone threatened that if their president is even to think about reparations, it can amount to him being a sellout or him even being impeached as president if he starts having this conversation.
Right now,
the president of France was quoted saying, we need to talk about it as reconciliation, not
I remember watching this. Yes.
So we might be here saying we want reparatory justice, but the people who we are expecting to meet this reparatory justice are either saying it's not possible, or saying, okay, we can do it, but let's do it this way. So what if it never comes, or if it comes, it doesn't come
the way that we
anticipate it as Africans? And for me, my answer is, what do we have as Africans in our hands?
Everything. Literally, we have each other and everything that we need.
But also what we have that we did not have before is we did not have freedom. When we were going through slavery and colonialism, we were not free people, but now we are. True?
Yeah, sort of. I don't know.
In the sense that we do not have sovereignty.
Autonomy.
Sovereignty as Africans was not ours when we were going through slavery and when we were going through colonization. But now we do have. We do have sovereignty, right? Like we all hoist our flags. We all sing our national anthems. We all have our armed forces. We all have government. We have systems, right, as Africans. We also didn't have what we have now also that we didn't have before is we didn't have globalization. Like Africa was Africa.
The dark continent as we know it,
and everything seemed to have happened in Europe, Americas, and and Asia, but we were almost left behind. And now, with globalization and the mighty IoT, Internet of Things, we are no longer the dark continent. We are no longer in the dark. Almost. I'm not saying 100%, but I'm saying almost giving us a level playing field. In such a way that what could have just been happening without our insight or knowledge is now happening in front of all of us. So what then does the opportunities that are there for us as Africans mean for us in terms of if reparatory justice never comes or if it comes at all, doesn't meet the threshold that we want, then it means we need to start looking at what cards have we been played? What do we have on our chip as Africans? And how do we use that to negotiate? Because you've asked, how do we negotiate? How do we sit at the table? You can only have bargaining power at a table if you know and understand the chips that you have. The what can move the game, what can move the weights of the matter. But that also can only happen if we don't go as one nation, but if we go as a collective, because all of us have a card that's different. If you look at the countries in East Africa, there's a card we hold that's different from the cards that, let's say, our brothers in the Western Hemisphere of Africa have. So if our brothers at the West go like, we have the oil, and them that are in the South go like, we have the minerals, and then them in the East go like, we have the natural resources, we have the food, we have like those are the different things that we can use to bargain. But it will only come if we look at Africa, at the opportunities Africa is being presented, not as scattered thought, and not just with me, myself, and I, like what we need as Kenya per se, but also what can we as Kenyans benefit if we also include like the East African bloc. So now we have the East African community, and you can see the changes that happen automatically, even with just freeing the borders to allow people to do trade and to allow people to
porous
do
borders.
commerce. Imagine if that is also not just extended in the East, but it's also extended
across
the region. If the West does the same on their block, East, North, so we'll only have a say if we realize what we bring to the table. And not from a place of disunity, but from a place of unity. We can have, those conversations where we do bilateral trade and we speak as autonomous governments, but I believe we can also have like the Forum of the African Union to speak as, this is what Africa is saying, or this is what is being is ailing us as Africans, and this is how we can navigate those challenges. And I believe having a global platform enables us not to be solitary, but enables us to have common grounds, and also to understand what is not only affecting us as Africans, but what is affecting every area globally, so that we can understand how exactly to move our cards, and how exactly to move our king, and how exactly to say checkmate.
And, you know, speaking about globalization, one of the very pertinent factors that have led to this, you know, we call it the global village, is technology. You sit at the technology hemisphere yourself. You are having conversations. A lot of your work is within the technology sphere. So let us now shift gears to how can we incorporate technology. You did mention about the chips that we have to ensure that we are fast tracking this conversation. So from where you sit, and because of your vast experience in the world of technology and also artificial intelligence, how can we leverage that to get us to the point where we want to see reparatory justice playing out in Africa and also its diaspora?
So it comes, this I'm speaking from the space of it comes but doesn't come as we wanted, or it never comes at all.
Yes.
So how do we make consensus?
Right.
One of the things with technology, technology and justice almost have the same face in this. If tech is used the right way, it creates a fair ground, a fair playing field. If tech is also not used the right way, it creates impartialities. Same thing to justice.
Right.
If justice is used as it should be, it creates a level ground and a level field for everyone. But if injustices are experienced, if justice is not handed in the way it's meant to be, some people will feel like justice works for these people but doesn't work for these people.
Right.
And it's almost the same, similar aspect with technology.
Yes.
If tech is not used or disbursed the right way, it can almost feel like tech is for these people and not for these people. And one of the things that Africa needs to really think about is how is it building its tech infrastructure? How is it building its databases? How is it building the human skill to actually work with tech? And what is Africa innovating? What are we building from within? Are key factors to how tech can be used to meet the gaps that were left with, or to almost make us see the scope, but not... If the reparatory justice never comes in, we can create our own reparatory justice from within. If from the outside it never gets to us.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, so what I'm hearing you saying that yes, maybe Africa is the one who should reparate herself in one way or the other. Yes.
Because like if it's been 30 years of us
striking conversations, going to summits,
starting this thing, until now,
and nothing much has come out of it.
Then it makes you wonder: will it ever come? And do we want to wait until it comes? And how long will that wait be? And what will we have missed out in that wait if we don't do anything?
Yeah, and you know it's quite problematic, this continuous codependency of the colonial powers that Africa has also always found itself in. Yet I'm like, what will it take to start seeing ourselves as people who can actually like we have everything that it takes. If, like I keep saying, if Africa traded amongst itself, we would be self-sufficient. Honestly, true to God, we would be self-sufficient because we have everything. Look at Congo. The minerals that are in Congo are like in we can't even finish them, even as a continent alone. We look at the food basket, Uganda. It can feed a good chunk of Africa, you know. So, yeah.
And imagine you're saying Uganda is a food basket,
yes.
but also other countries outside, like in the East, do the same thing.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of farming happening.
Yes.
So you can imagine if we bring all that in
together, we would be unstoppable. Yeah. And I think also for me, that also goes to a question that I want to ask about narratives. And of course, technology is one of the ways in which narratives and storytelling and the stories that we tell ourselves and the stories that we tell about the continent, you know, again, Vambo AI is in the language, is in the technology of language, and language is your business and business is your language. How do you think artificial intelligence, and specifically talking about the reclamation, I don't want to call it a reclamation of African languages, but it kind of is a reclamation and ownership, or rather ownership of African languages. How do you see the role of language in the conversation of narrative changing and shifting? When we talk about reparatory justice, do you see a nexus point between the two, if at all? Yeah.
Because language is what is, if you look at cultures, language is a key area of building any culture. And currently the culture that you're building is a digitized culture.
Yeah,
okay?
It's here with us.
But even culture, the cultures that have lived before used language, trade happens because language is possible. Whether that language is spoken or that language is written, then you can't have an exchange if there is no understanding. And unfortunately, like 95% of African languages are not digitized at all. Yet a majority of those languages spoken in Africa are the native languages, add to the basket of the native languages spoken globally. So when you go to the internet, you can access things about Africa in French or English or any other global language. But it's so hard to find the same information with a native language that's spoken within the African continent. It's also sad that then that means our story is being told by other people and not ourselves, which is dangerous because you don't know what someone will omit or add.
Yes.
And that's in the artificial intelligence world, we call it biases. So whatever innovation you're creating or models you're creating will be biased, because what happens with AI is data. You feed it data. It understands data. Data is basically, practically, information. You give it information. Once it understands that information, whichever platform you plug it in or use it in, whether it's in climate, customer care, education, health,
whatever,
it will give you the information that it was fed. So if this information is only trained or adapted from a space where there is no full representation, then it means the outcomes will be biased. It will tell you something that might not be common or that might feel off to you. But it's not because it's doing the wrong thing, it's just because it was fed data or information that is not familiar or that is not contextualized to you. So,
and that is dangerous because
you'll be getting answers and as an entire system and structure is being created with you being not at the table, like minus you. So if, let's say, 95% of who we are as Africans is not represented digitally now in 2025, you can imagine 5 years from now, if at 2030 nothing is being done to create data points for us to have access and information with the African context in mind, that it means the same colonialism physically is also going to take place in the digital. Like for real.
It will entrench the system,
in the digital space. Because if you're missing in action, who's representing you? And who's saying what about you? But what we're trying to do with Vambo AI and creating multilingual tools is, okay, it's hard for, you're building health, a health tool. You want to ensure malaria and typhoid and cholera and all these things that are found within the continent have reached the target hospitals and get to the people who are in different areas that need this medicine or need these services. But your tool is very effective in terms of the tech aspect of it is very effective. But the person you're going to, the rural hospital you're going to doesn't speak English, they speak Swahili, or maybe they speak Amharic, or they speak Kinyarwanda, or they speak Kikuyu, or, you know, Yoruba, but you really want to meet that need that they're facing. So what we are doing is we are building a tool that will give you the language. You don't have to think about building language because that's not your thing, that's our thing. But what we want to build language in such a way that you plug and ensure that that native speaker gets the best treatment with a person who comes to a capital city to still receive that same treatment. But English is the language that prevails.
We have
within the most capitals, like here in Kenya, English and Swahili is more prevalent compared to a rural,
setup.
Rural setup. But it should not be different. And if this person comes to Nairobi and they want the same services, they can still access them with their native language and still create access. So technology becomes a point of access in that if we build tools, I honestly believe if we build tools for our health sector, because our healthy people is a healthy nation.
Say that again.
Because if people are all down because of different symptoms or because they're ill, then you don't have the manpower to work. Okay, so if our people are healthy, physically, that creates a big difference. Then we also now need to think about our education system. How then do we ensure that our innovation in edtech enables people to not just learn or not just to acquire information, but become thought leaders? Like they can start thinking and becoming people who can give solutions even as they begin. And creating edtech tools gives like a personalized learning for people. So someone is not just learning for the sake of learning, but the different things they engage with within that edtech platform allows them to become problem solvers, allows a teacher even to zero into the very thing that this child needs in order to get best helped. It also now brings in integration of language. Like if understanding a concept in maths is hard in English and Swahili, let's try your mother tongue because perhaps you grew up speaking this mother tongue and see how you perform. So it doesn't exclude a majority of learners who especially are like in the rural setting. And it also happens within the urban settings around areas that have, let's say, both the urbanized and the slums.
Semi-urbanized,
Like in slum areas, you can find like the language spoken there is not English. Maybe they speak their mother tongues or they speak Shang, like a form of language, but it may not be English or, So how then do you bridge that gap for this person who's still in the urban area but needs an education, needs a health care system that works? Climate tech. How are we building technology to help us with our agriculture? Yes, we can take innovation from outside and bring it here, but how sustainable is it? And does that technology even understand our patterns? Does it understand how our farmers farm? Like those two things. So there is the knowledge that our farmers have had all these years with doing it manually and all that. But with innovation, we can plug it together. But there's this farmer who's farming and does not understand how, like right now people use, why is this name escaping me?
Which one?
I know you. Okay, it will come.
Okay.
But people use modern modern technology to farm, yeah? So if you want someone to adapt this technology,
yes,
and they can't really understand in, like you've come with that with tech, it's in English, but you want someone to adapt it, yet they speak Swahili or
different language.
Rwanda. That's what they use to run their lives daily. But so how then what we do at Vambo is to plug in to such a system so that where agriculture seems like there's a hindrance, you can, like someone was sharing, I'll use this experience, they're sharing how they deal with fishermen in Lake Victoria. And they have a tool, and that tool is to help the fishermen to understand like patterns and what's happening in the lake, and if the fish looks this way, then it means that way, like this is what's happening if you have this catch, and like to understand the entire process of just doing fishing.
Yeah.
So sometimes when the fishermen are sending in info, they text or send messages with Swahili or Lu. Not English.
Wow.
So how do you effectively explain a solution to this person?
Right.
For them to get the maximum yield that they need.
Right.
Anyway, but what I'm saying basically is how can Africans leverage technology, build solutions that bridge the gap within society, so that if reparatory justice never comes, and this I'm speaking mostly economically. I'm not speaking from all these other
the cultural
aspects,
and social.
But even cultural, it can.
Yeah.
Because if we can use 3D and AI thingies to keep our cultural things reserved for the long haul, so that our children and children's children can experience.
By all means,
why not?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, the gaps that are there in technology are wide. I'm not saying it will solve all our issues, because honestly, even now, most of our systems still run manually. But if we can slowly start thinking on how to make sure the adaptation doesn't leave behind a big chunk of our population in Africa, then we might experience our own reparatory justice. We may just create justice
for our own selves. And maybe that's where the next phase of this conversation should look like, even across the continent. Okay, so let's take a quick breather now. And when we get back to our conversation, we continue. We are discussing reparatory justice, and specifically zeroing in on what technology's role is in terms of fast-tracking that conversation of reparatory justice. And you've heard from Lina that we actually have an opportunity for us to kind of reparate ourselves by looking at what we have going for us to ensure that we are advancing and progressing this continent. So let's take a quick break. We come back and we continue with our discussion. This is the Power Morning Drive Show.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Les mesdames et messieurs, écoutez-moi tout le monde. Everybody, come on, let's dance.
Bonane, tout le monde. Africani, my chérie, tout le monde. Nipate hunting meet and greet, sipping ladies off their feet. Bongo Kongo na lingi yo, naingize shilingi siringi. Oh yeah, wanataka more. Nashika mic na wakabako, always tighter than before. Nafanya loco international, locomotion kila nation. Woko moko loko washa moto moto kasambusa, nakavusa kama rigas. Aliboso, bonita deliciosa Nicole.
napita na ye, mgenge zake kugonga na ye, anakaa fiti mina bonga na ye, akileta noma mina bonda ye ye. Afrika, Kenya, Kongo na ye, shika jamu koma na ye, kini genge mobimba bolinga na ye. Kuna kapari ye, swaga mekubali kuna party ye, kala kasupa ndo kakari ye, kana ka chicken da kakari ye, kaikari ye. Minjo mgenge wawadi so soft to super skia didi. Ladies wanna go with me but buga missing naga time. Aligoso, aligoso, bonita lisios Nicole. Aligolo, aligolo, Tezu kende libos. Aligoso, aligoso, Afrika bimba Nicole. Aligolo, aligolo, Pita, mata, pita, pita, mata, pita, pita, mata, sugar, sugar, panda, pita, pita, mata, pita, pita, mata, sugar, sugar, panda, Tezu kende libos. Alicious, this one's so delicious. Me for the Christmas, sangu tuni mos. Shika ganji na kufloss. Africa mobimba, mokili mobimba, Kenya Congo mobimba, commotion kwenye flow. Do you pressure king of flow? Ladies, this how we go. Alekita, mata, kita, mata, boss ina mata. I'm getting out of daily boss na kula mata. Aligoso, aligoso, bonita lisios Nicole. Aligolo, aligolo, Tezu kende libos. Aligoso, aligoso, Afrika bimba Nicole. Aligolo, aligolo, pita, mata, pita, pita, mata, pita, mata, sugar, sugar, panda, pita, pita, mata, pita, mata, sugar, sugar, panda, Tezu kende liboso. Liboso, lipolo, liboso, lipolo, bonita lisios. Liboso, liboso, lipolo, bonita lisios.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Umenitesa netosheka, roho imezoea, ukitoka ninajua leo sitatulia, kile nafikiria huna idea, yale napitia. I know you know. I watch you put on makeup, standing by the mirror, your vibration is familiar. Yeah, it's a trigger, nakumbuka ukiweza kunifurahia. I wish you would stay, but I know you moved on. Nakujua tena sana, nikikuona najua kile unawaza. And you know, naeza jua ukidanganya. So I find it so confusing when you lie, love. It gets so lonely, usiku tanipata na mawazo. You say you love me, but najua uliniachanga kitambo. Najua uliniachanga kitambo. Oh. Uliniachanga kitambo. Nimezeeka, so sitakasirika. Nimeona ya dunia, sitalipishia. Tenda utatendwa, kwanza naona yapenda. Binadamu akiumia, bado atarudia. Nakujua tena sana, kuona najua kila unawaza. And you know, naeza jua ukidanganya. So I find it so confusing when you lie, love. It gets so lonely. Usiku tanipata na mawazo. You say you love me, but najua uliniachanga kitambo. Najua uliniachanga kitambo. Oh. Najua uliniachanga kitambo. Oh. It gets so lonely. Usiku tanipata na mawazo. You say you love me, but najua uliniachanga kitambo. Najua ushamua misi wako.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
All right, welcome back. That is Mutoria with Lonely. And lonely is not what I am because I am in the studio with my people. And we are talking about reparatory justice. And more specifically, how can technology aid in this progress of reparatory justice on the continent of Africa and, of course, with people of the peoples of the African descent within diasporas and so on and so forth. Yes, so let's come back now. Technology, right? Most people could argue that it is a more fluid, I guess, tool that can be very pertinent in this conversation of reparatory justice vis-a-vis perhaps, you know, by the time maybe we are thinking about, for example, the issue of Ghana, African Americans are coming back to the African continent, and that has been quite the exodus, really. It has taken some good amounts of time to even get them citizenship. So in that kind of way, we do see that reparation can take time. But in a sense, do you think that technology should be one of the ways in which, like, basically, are we sleeping on technology because of its fluid nature? In terms of its very important role as we talk about reparations also, yeah.
So I think, as we started, we said reparatory justice comes from the word repair.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, I think technology can help us do our own repairs. If the repairs don't come, or they come late, or they don't come at the expected package or delivery, delivering that we want, then tech almost becomes a place where we can, as you said, it's fluid. So it can help us maneuver a lot of things that we could not maneuver before. Almost giving us a level playing field. But as I said, this level playing field also doesn't look as leveled as we might think, because we have to think about, do you have the infrastructure? Yes, there's massive internet use and, you know, internet services and all that's happening within the capitals of and city areas in Africa. But the more you leave the cities and you go towards the rural spaces, you find that there are still issues with electricity. There's still issues with internet connectivity. So it's for tech and the digital space almost to create that level field. Like we have to think about how then do we deal with infrastructure on the ground to ensure that everyone has access to the digital space.
Right.
But also, why are we constantly having conversations as we were bantering?
Yeah.
Why are we having significant, solid conversations about tech and AI just in rooms where the elite and learned of Africa are seated? Yet what we are conversing about affects the day-to-day citizen who is minding their own business, even as we are having these conversations.
Yeah.
So how do we make the citizenry a part of this discussion outside social media?
Outside social media.
Because yes, our people are on socials, but they're not on socials they're on socials for entertainment.
Yeah.
They're on socials to gain news, they're on socials to, meet people. How do we leverage that to make them also understand the other side of how this tech is also going to affect them in the long run?
Right.
The discussions that are happening within rooms concerning them without them being aware. But also, how do we build tools and how do we build tech from within Africa?
Yeah.
Because we are consumers. We receive a lot from outside, but we literally don't take anything outside ourselves. But with technology, we have the opportunity of building within.
Yeah.
We may not even export it to Europe or,
the West,
but we can export it within we can build something in Kenya that can be utilized in Tanzania, that can be utilized in Uganda, that can move all the way to Senegal because it has been built for Africa. It understands our problems. So let's also not look at solving the world's, the world is important, but if we start home and our own world and helping our very own, because by 2030, 2050, statistics show that global workforce is coming from Africa.
Yes.
If you've been in rooms, this has been said over and over again.
Yes.
But what does that mean? And yet, these very people who you are saying will be global world, the workforce, some of them are still in the rural areas.
Yeah. With now access to, for example, even technology.
Some have not even maybe had the word AI,
Yes,
alone
yes.
having access.
That's true.
So what are we doing to bridge those gaps?
And there are many.
And they are. And if we don't effectively think about it, that's why I was saying tech is a double-edged sword. We might even experience we might need a reparatory justice for tech if we don't think through what does it mean to have so many things happening at such a fast-paced level.
Yeah.
Yet a majority of our people, a majority of our population have no idea of what's happening.
It's quite unfair.
So what are we building?
Yeah.
Who's building? And what are we building? And is what we are building to showcase to the globe, or is what we are building to help our people get to the global platform?
Right.
That's the question.
That should be the question. So then what does inter-African partnership look like going forward?
Inter-African partnership looks like if there's innovation that's solving a solution in Mozambique and it's working well, can we think about how that solution can be adapted to other parts of Africa? Instead of us starting from scratch to build, why not adopt such a solution and make it work within our systems?
Yeah.
It also means funding our own.
We don't like funding our own things, I don't want to hear that we do not have enough money We do.
excuse. Yeah.
Yeah, we have enough money.
Why are we not funding our own?
Yeah. Perhaps it's the lack of prioritization of this, because we don't think some of these
But I
things
think
are
it's
important.
also a question of, is our own also genuine? So them that are innovating need to really ask themselves, are they innovating for the right reason? Yes, we all need money.
Yes, granted.
I
need money.
It's also important if your innovation can, give
Yeah.
you a good life.
Yes,
So we also
absolutely,
understand that.
absolutely.
But is that the only reason why you're innovating?
Right.
Because if that's the only reason, you might end up receiving resources and making other people, receiving resources, not doing the right thing, and making other people look like they're also doing the same thing.
Right.
So there is, for them that are genuinely innovating, search your hearts and really know why.
What's the motive behind it?
Yeah. Because what you're innovating, yes, should help you, but should also be helping other people. And then, with that said, because some people are not releasing funds because the ecosystem also looks some type of way.
Right.
So, but if that's clear, if you really find that this innovation is good and everything checks out, why not support? Why not fund that?
Yeah.
And Africans also, does it have to come from outside for you to believe it will work? Why not also embrace that which is coming from within?
Yeah.
Because I've met so many people who truly are building and they really understand what they're building, what the solution is offering, and the pain points.
Yeah.
Because even with AI, before you get data to make your solution work, you experience the pain points because you literally have to go where the data is. And as you are looking for you understand, it really shifts your perspective on most things.
Yeah.
So the globe is there, the global stage is there, but the question is, how are we going to use technology, and what is Africa innovating? What is Africa building in Africa? And what is Africa building in Africa with its largest population in mind? Not the people who are in the rooms and in the urban areas who understand and live out these things, but the people who haven't even heard or just have a vague idea
of what's happening,
but really don't have the understanding.
Right.
If we figure that out, we might create our own reparatory justice.
Okay. I'm going to take you up on that. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of our show. I can't believe it. Oh my God. This time really flies when I'm having a good time. But before we go, so where do we go from here? What's your clarion call to the youth? As you've said, young people in Africa, we are the future, we are the present. What would your clarion call for the business sector be? What would your clarion call even for artists, innovators, the governments of Africa be, in terms of how do we really rally up together as a collective to ensure that we are moving in the unity of purpose for this reparatory justice conversation? Yeah.
You say that, and then this song came on. Where do we
go from? I know that song. Yeah.
I'm almost sending a love request. Dear Africa.
Yes, dear Africa.
Dear people.
Ni mimi wako.
But where do we go? I think where we go is accepting where we are. I've come to learn, understand, and also see that when you come to terms with where you are, it's easier to figure out your next step.
Right.
So we have been crying, saying we have talked about it, we have sent our request as the African Union. As Africans, we're like, you did us dirty.
Yeah.
So what you got to do about it?
Yeah.
And if the responses we have been given so far should be indicators of how fast or how soon or how quick we might actually receive this reparatory justice.
Yes.
So then the question begs is, how are we reflecting on where we are?
Yeah.
Where are we?
Where are we? Tuko wapi?
And can we accept where we are?
Yeah.
So that we can create viable, achievable, optimal solutions to move forward.
Yeah.
The young people are, we used to say they're the future, but as you say, they're the present. How can we max out their energy, their curiosity, their tenacity, their creativity, and leverage what is at our table in form of democracy, our own democracy, sovereignty, and technology to create our own reparatory justice.
I love that.
I
love that. Your parting shot.
Yes.
Where can people find Vambo? Where can people find you?
Oh, you can find us.
Yeah.
You can find us on Twitter.
That
Vambo
camera?
AI.
Yes.
You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on LinkedIn. And please follow our YouTube channel, Vambo AI in Africa.
What?
Our podcast channel. We
Yes.
have amazing conversations there.
Very
just
amazing.
about what's happening within the African continent.
Yeah.
In tech, AI, innovation, and people who are actually building and creating solutions for Africa in Africa.
Wow. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Guys, that has been our time. So sorry that we have to go. We have to go. Lena, thank you so much. I mean, this has been incredible. I've learned so much, and I can't tutaongea nyuma ya tent because
Where
this
she's
is
giving me chocolates
and
flowers.
and flowers. That's for sure. For sure. That's how I'm reparating her.
Yes.
Wow, thank you so much for the privilege of your time.
Thank you too.
And you're fam. When we need you, I know you will come.
Yes.
Yes. So
definitely.
let's continue this conversation. That has been our conversation this morning with Lena Kitala from Vambo AI, and it's clear the conversation around reparations is not going to go anywhere, but perhaps we need to rethink and reimagine how we are going to lead this conversation moving forward. And one way actually that you can be helpful in this conversation is, Africa Union has the Agenda 2063 document, and really the tagline of the Agenda 2063 document is the Africa we want. It's quite a robust document there about what the Africa Union is doing towards ensuring that we are building an Africa that we want. I have read it over and over again to kind of understand what is my role and how can I position myself in creating the continent that I also want to be a part of. So please go in there knowing that it's a very robust document, a lot of jargon, a lot of tough terms, but if you want to be part of a conversation about leading, being in the leadership or being a part of the Africa that you want to live in, I think this is one of the ways that you can start having that conversation. And happy Africa Day. Happy Africa Month. Yeah, to all the Africans and people who identify as Africans as well, people that are also of the African descent and diaspora. Happy Africa Month to you as well. And we will see you on next Monday. Thank you so much for everybody who was able to tune in to the show. I see you on Monday for the Power Morning Drive, and this time we shall be looking at Inter-Parties Youth Forum. We shall be joined by Mr. Oluoch from the ODM Youth League, and our conversation is going to be, as we ramp up towards the 2027 general elections, how can young people start again this conversation about mainstreaming youth into the political and governance space is not the one that can be had in one conversation and move on. So we shall be exploring how can young people participate in party politics and ensure that they understand what is going on in the governance space. But before I let you go, at 11 a.m., Ms. Murote comes in with Shiva Sessions for all things women. And then at 1:30, me and the boys, Benano, Doubt, DJ CJ, and Elijah Mose come in with Power Up from 1:30 to 3:30 to discuss the happenings of what has been going on really within the past 1 week. In the world, in Kenya, and so please catch up with us at 1:30 for all that and so much more. Then, of course, later on, our reggae nerd, Miss Flozz, comes in with Ital Groove from 4 p.m. all the way till 6 p.m. Again, it's an omnibus on Friday, so a lot of shows and programming lined up for you. Mimi sina la ziada. I will see you at 1:30. Catch me then on Power Up. See you. Goodbye. God bless.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
I say like you care, like you care, like you care. Rangi ya mdomo kwenye shirt, nina uhakika ile marashi siyo yake. Bado yuaja kwangu kitandani, akitaka tu banane. Risiti kila kitu mbili, amejaa maalama kwenye mwili. Bado yuaja kwangu kitandani, akitaka tu banane. Anamlala na siyo siri, siyo habari. Anamlala wala fichi, siyo habari. Niliambiwa kupenzae atakuchiti hadharani. Niliambiwa kupenzae atakustiri hadharani. Jaribu kundanganya kama wanijale, kama wanijale. Jaribu kundanganya kama wanijale, kama wanijale. Jale, 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 jale. Jale, 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 jale. Like you care, like you care, like you care. I say like you care, like you care, like you care.
Hata saile sidanganyi, unasema mimi nadanganya. Utasikizaje masikio yako shazibana, macho yako yanaona vitu na kuna kitu nafanya. Hapo ndo tumefika na kuongelesha, nikiona unaona niko guilty, haimata kitu nitasema. Ndani ya roho inaumiza, nasikia wivu nikiona wale wanapendana bila kushukushuku sana. Ile inafaa, vile unataka kufanya leo kana panda cheo nipande kana shuka, basi nianze kutafuta stage ya mine. Yeah, jifanye kama una care pia, utaniamini uone vile na kuchange ya mine.
Jaribu kundanganya kama wanijale, kama wanijale. Jaribu kundanganya kama wanijale, kama wanijale. Jale, 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 jale. Jale, 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 jale. Like you care, like you care, like you care. I say like you care, like you care, like you care.
Never let you down, never will.
Sanaipenda shin to the chilla.
Anamlala na siyo